Welcome to episode 22 of Randall Vision. I'm your host, Randall. Today's topic is beer. And before we get into the beer, I've had some thoughts on some of the recent episodes and me missing the point. So in episode 18, I proclaimed myself a winner of philosophy. And my point of doing that was to hammer home to myself that I figured it out and I don't need to beat a dead horse. And now that I know what's important, I should be busy doing that. And then 2 episodes later, I do a book report on, 3 episodes later, I do a book report on Ayn Rand, which is more philosophy. And it's like, dude, you just made a very nuanced point about how you don't need to be proving what it is you know, because that's a futile endeavor and all that. And I just kept doing it. Like, why? And not that I'm not going to do any more book reports on here. I most certainly will. But I was trying to push myself away from that direction, and I just kept going that way. So what does that tell me? That's where one of my passions lie. That, you know, it's almost a irresistible topic to me, and that it actually involves some effort to divorce myself from it. So that was interesting to find out. And I noticed my upload schedule starting to lag here, and I think part of it, I wanted to discuss that, is that that is part of the, hey, you've won philosophy that's now sinking in. More than one purpose to that episode was that the main conclusion was to live well. And I've been trying to do that, and it's hard. It's really complicated to live well. Being in the moment, and also like taking care of like all the fundamental basic stuff that needs done every day or every week or whatever, like just cooking, cleaning, exercise, work, reading, leisure, all of that stuff, and connecting with nature. There's several things that you should do on a regular basis, and juggling all of those while not like planning or forcing any of it, and trying to keep it all balanced, that's complicated. Just living is difficult. So I think we're all on the same page with that. And one more before getting into my beer rant here. Just being and interacting with people, my ability to speak, I've noticed it evolving a bit where, an insight I had the other day, a little eureka moment, was what we say is evidence of exactly what we do not know. And what I mean by that is, if you knew better, you wouldn't have said what you said. So also too, that what we don't know is a defining characteristic of who and what we are. So I don't know. I'm gonna leave that one hanging here. That I don't want to get too deep or too weird on that. I'll save that for another day. So what's this beer all about? Um, Besides books, you could learn things in reality, like say through a job. And around the age of 23, 24, something like that, I got a job at a beer distributor. And it was a delivery, and not necessarily like they did retail, but it was a different layout than what you would think of as a store. It was more of a warehouse, kind of subterranean, quasi-subterranean warehouse, built into a hillside. But I worked there for 7 years delivering beer. And after that job, the next job I got was another beer distributor, but this was more of what you would consider like a traditional retail setting. We didn't do delivery. The second one specialized in high-end variety. That I think they carried about 500 or 600 kinds of beer, and I had opinions on about half of them. But getting ahead of myself here. Those 7 years working unskilled labor, what did I learn from that? And later on, years later, I took those 7 years and proclaimed it a doctorate in beer delivery. That, you know, your traditional doctoral course takes 7 years to complete, and I did mine in delivering beer. And then I did my, I guess you'd call it postdoc. I did the postdoc also in beer, but it was more craft brews and imports on the postdoc work. But so what did I learn from delivering beer? One, beer's heavy. There was a lot of keg delivery, keg rotating, and whenever I began the job, I weighed about 145, and I'm pretty sure a keg weighs 165. And in order to do your job, you need to be able to place a keg onto a van or truck by yourself. So it was interesting learning the skill involved, and also what kind of strength is involved. And it was difficult. And moving cases, a case of beer isn't as nearly as heavy, but doing it enough times throughout a day can be fatiguing. So kind of, this is a long-winded saying of like learning the value of a hard day's work or some labor. And sure, I guess you can gain the value of that knowledge in about a year, but whenever you do it for 7 years throughout, all the changes a season over and over and over again, like it gives you a deeper appreciation for somebody that spends like a lifelong career in some type of labor field, like somebody that works with concrete or masonry or whatever. Like that's something to be respected. So there's a couple other areas. That's like a individual thing that I had to go through. An important connection that I made, like besides this joint was kind of a den of thieves. Like the owner almost exclusively hired lowlifes, or like the only people that would even apply there were lowlifes, myself included. I don't have any kind of delusions of who I am or who I was. Like, and dude, that was something that occurred to me just a couple of weeks ago, giving a buddy a lift home, and I was like, oh, I'm a degenerate. Like, I grew up as a type of misfit in society, and there was a couple of evidences, like getting a PCP for the first time in 20 years, and she treated me with an abundance of caution as if I was some sort of junkie. And at first I was offended by it, but then like in the following weeks, realized that like, oh, she's just like the only person I've encountered in a long time that's treating me with a healthy degree of caution or whatnot. That I could imagine the stream of words that was coming out of my mouth is like, oh, this guy's unhinged or some kind of charlatan, and he's probably gonna try to get the doc to write a script of opiates or some shit. But that was not the case. Now, why do I mention this here? The owner, the first guy I worked for in beer, he told me years later, after I had established a good working relationship at the business, that whenever I was hired, the owner assumed that I was a junkie, and that was not true. Not that I've never done opiates or heroin or whatever, but I was not in fact a heroin addict, and he hired me anyways, assuming that I was, and I was pleased to be able to prove otherwise or whatever, to show up and show that I can maintain good attendance and do hard work and generally be worth my weight or whatever. So that was cool. Or like learning an example of somebody taking a chance on a prospect that might be sketchy. Like this probably won't pan out, but we're gonna give it a shot anyways. That was important to me. And just on several occasions, there's a couple that stick out, lessons that this man taught me. And an important one was, if any of us fucked up on one of our runs, and like say a bar called and they're like, oh, the order was messed up, they shorted us two of these and gave us 2 extra of something else, and it's wrong. Or if you broke something or whatever, offering excuses was never accepted. The only response that you could give in the face of you fucking up was, I fucked up. Here's what I did wrong. Here's how I'm going to improve in the future. I'm going to make an effort to not make that mistake again. And then the only thing that you could actually do to atone or whatever to show the growth is stop making that mistake, which you can't do on the spot. You have to prove with your future actions. So that was like a level of integrity that I learned through experience. And there was another moment that sticks out above others, when one day or 1 week at the beer distributor, it was during my first long-term relationship, and my partner had cheated on me, and I was very upset about it. And, it was negatively impacting my ability to function in the world or do my job or whatever. And Donnie, he gave me a little speech, and it was very simple and elegant, and it was along the lines of, all right, so this hurts, right? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, and it's the lying that hurts the most, right? It's not that she had sex with somebody else. It's that she lied about it. And I'm like, yeah, that's the part that hurts the most. And he's like, well, look at it this way. You've got two options here. One, you could like just lay down and die and give up on life, or you could put one foot in front of the other and carry on with your life. And damn if that wasn't some of the best advice I have ever gotten, because it applies to so many things. Like anything that's given you a hard time, you could apply that like, is this the end of the world? No. Okay, well, what do we do about it? We keep going. And to have somebody who had earned my respect teach that to me, I'm pretty grateful. Had I not respect him as a human, those words would have been lost on me. And you can't really respect anybody unless you engage with the world and engage with another person. But that was awesome. Another dimension to what I had learned from the job was that the job involved delivering beer to dive bars in bad neighborhoods on a daily basis. Like there very few of our clients were upscaled, so it was almost all seedy joints. And rolling into a bar at like 10:30 in the morning, and it's already like full of people, jukeboxes playing some upbeat something, funk or whatever. Everybody's having a good time and getting loaded in the morning, and it's like your average, your normie would look at this behavior with maybe scorn or disdain, or some kind of elevated thing, and I didn't do that. And it was kind of walking the line between not necessarily that and jealousy, but just an acknowledgement of these are my people. These are the people that I serve. And, at least on one occasion, like I took a week off so that I was able to at least spend one day like joining these people of like, heck yeah, I'm gonna go get some breakfast and go start drinking at 10 a.m. with these people that I see every day. So that's definitely a fond memory. But being immersed into that segment of society, and knowing that that's like the cloth that I'm cut from. Not that my parents were closer to normies than to this level of degeneracy, but I related to them, and I feel as if over the period of time that I had earned the respect of these people as well, that I didn't treat people poorly or whatever. So I don't know. Like there was a habit that I learned then, and I carry on to this day. That driving through McKeesport down Fifth Avenue, you will most likely see pedestrians that are less fortunate than yourself. People that are down on their luck, people that have just had a bad shake in life. And it's not necessarily pity that I would express when seeing these people, but a reminder to be grateful for who you are and what you have, that things can be worse. And two, the people in a worse situation than you, they're going on with life. So what's your excuse? If you're looking for a way to cop out that, people in a worse spot than you are putting up the good fight. But so let's go back to the what did we learn from this profession or whatever. Like, I kind of did feel like a badass, especially during the later years. Like after like 5+ years of experience, it's like the amount of, I don't know if edge is the right word, but like I don't think being a tough guy is quite the right response either. But like, I don't know, it's hard to put into words. But it was there was definitely a lot of masculinity involved. And like I said, embracing the culture of the lowest strata of our society or whatever, that I don't know. A quick note on that. Donnie, a couple years after I had quit there and moved on with my life, I sat down and wrote a letter to him detailing how significantly he had impacted my life in a positive way. And it just I should have brought it down to read, but it sounds like blowing smoke up somebody's ass. And I'm sure whenever he got it and read it, he was like, "Oh, I'm sure Randall's trying to butter me up for a favor." And I haven't spoken to him since. I never stopped by to say hi or anything, just as, I don't know if evidence is the right word, but to like prove like, no, I was not buttering you up for a favor. I don't need something from you. I just genuinely had something nice to say. And I'm okay with that. How that all played out, that's fine. But another thing too, the alcoholism, like being around beer that much. I drank a lot. I drank cheap stuff. I drank good stuff. And being a beer man too, that earlier in my career as a beer man, the thing that really pushed me into alcoholism was having fucked up teeth. And there was a period of time where I was treating that with scotch or whiskey, and treating pain with liquor. If you do that for a couple of weeks, then you're probably going to turn into an alcoholic. And I did. And yeah, part of the glory of being a beer man was tips, free food, discounted food, free drinks, and So commonly, once or twice or maybe even 3 times during the day, I'd be able to get a free shot of whiskey. Usually I'd go for the Wild Turkey 101, but whatever was offered was usually good enough. And yeah, I don't think I was really like drinking enough to have an illegal blood alcohol content while I was working, but it turned into burning the candle at both ends. That, well, if you already had 2 or 3 drinks at work and then you go home and have 6 or 8 or 10 more, it just starts to wear on you. And I even had a couple of bouts of sobriety while working with beer as well, but I'm just kind of glossing over the what I learned there, and I could probably talk for an hour on separate little stories and stuff, but the point I'm making is that reading books is cool and all, but getting your hands dirty for 10 years will teach you something that you'll never learn in a book. And I don't know, that's about it. So beyond having one philosophy, I also have a doctorate in beer. We'll start making a list of my accomplishments. I should probably make a list on the wall there to show off to everybody how great I am. On that note, remember, you're a sovereign individual. Do what thou wilt.